Hey gang, Randy Gilbert here coming to you from frosty Sterling Heights, Michigan, where it's a brisk 27 degrees outside. So let's dig right into this so that we got time for some Q&A at the end of the presentation, okay? You are in the breakout session for creating rocket graphics with decal and vinyl mediums. A little bit about myself. Been flying rockets for 54 years now. I worked for Centuri back when I was a teenager in their R&D department in Phoenix. And I also did some work for Bill Stein at Quest Aerospace. My passion is to build good-looking rockets. And many of you who are my close friends at Jackson Model Rocket Club know that I like to build them good. So for those who care, I received the NAR President's Award for Service as a Trustee in 2015, and my photograph was published on the cover of Sport Rocketry, showing the exact moment of staging on the May-June issue of 2018. And it's a photograph I'm particularly proud of. My degrees are in professional photography. I have an Associate of Applied Science from Rochester Institute of Technology in Rochester, New York. I have a Bachelor of Arts degree in Organizational Management from Bethel College in Mishawaka, Indiana. And I am a certified project manager by the Project Management Institute. And that is what you would call my day job. Okay, folks, this presentation will enhance your knowledge on how to create professional quality decal and vinyl media graphics for rockets using household inkjet or laser printers. What I can't do is I can't teach you graphic arts. Don't have enough time. It's an amalgamation of art and science. A little bit about the history of decals, okay? Back when Vern Estes first started Estes Industries, he had an entire department that was dedicated to nothing more than screen printing decals for the rockets. And later on, as the technology progressed, it became possible for us to offset print decals, which is the majority of what you see today. For those of us at home, we were in the meantime using sticky back paper, Avery full page label paper that we would run through our printers and then stick onto rockets. The problem was all the background was always white, okay? So this is what we're calling, or what I referred to as home printing generation 2. Now we have these incredibly high resolution inkjet and laser printers that have dramatically dropped in price in the last 20 years. And they just turn out phenomenal results with decals. Some of the tools and materials that you'll use are for design, and this is anything but a comprehensive list. You could use PowerPoint, Photoshop, freeware apps such as the GIMP, and decal media. You have your choice of water slide, vinyl, and other, which is metallic or holographic. Now, the other stuff has come in short supply recently, and but there's a hybrid. There's a way to hybridize that, so you can still get a nice decal on top of a chrome or a gold surface if you want to. We'll talk about that. Let's talk about more tools. What are you going to need to do this? You need a hobby knife and scissors for cutting. For wetting, I would recommend some dish soap. If you're using an extremely large decal, if you're printing a decal and trying to place a decal that is closer to the size of a full page of 8.5 by 11 paper, I would suggest that you get some water-based lubricant. Many of us who apply a lot of decals from rocket kits like those provided by Estes use a little bit of spittle on occasion. Just rub it on the rocket before you place the decal. Makes it slippery so that the decal can slide around a little bit. When you're using large decals, and again, like I say, probably the size of a quarter sheet of 8.5 by 11 paper, you may want to save your spittle and use just a dab of water-based lubricating jelly and dilute that with water, okay, so that it's not blobby. You just need something for the decal to slide around on, okay? That's what you're looking for, is slippery. And commercial decal solvent, and we'll talk more about this too. If you don't have any commercial decal solvent and you're not close to a hobby shop, and hobby shops are becoming more and more rare. I just realized that one of my neighborhood hobby shops here closed after COVID. And it's a sad thing. You can actually use household white vinegar, and it works pretty well to get decals to settle into cracks and on uneven surfaces. As far as application is concerned, folks, if you're going to do it right, you're going to have to get a pair of tweezers. That's all there is to it. Your tweezers are going to become your next best friend when you're doing a decal application. And then you're going to need tissue or paper toweling, and you're going to want some that's not going to delaminate or come apart as soon as you hit it with water. Okay, let's stop for a moment and talk about safety, because it's always one of those things that crops up. And we're talking about using things like white vinegar, which is essentially acetic acid. So let's talk about the things that you might want to use. Now, this is probably an overkill list, okay? Protective goggles, not a bad idea if you're using acetic acid. Protective gloves, same thing. Apron or old clothes, yep. Want to use that if you're going to use acetic acid, okay? Respirator. Probably don't need a respirator for decals work. For regular building your model rockets, yeah, you got to have some CA glue debonder around. You got to have it. Always make sure you have adequate ventilation, and always make sure that your workplace is clutter-free before you get started. And no matter what you do, make sure that you can be safe, have fun, and pay forward. Okay, let's talk about home printed decals for a minute and the trade-offs, the advantages, customization. You can do whatever you want, you know. You can do decals on clear background, decals on white background, decals on clear that you then mount to chrome, so that you have chrome back decals. The customization is just, the world is your oyster at that point. Material choice. Lots of choice for materials out there. My go-to place that I used to source all of my decal media from them, is no longer selling water slide decals paper. So I dug around in Amazon, and I found some very good stuff that we'll talk about a little later, okay? Workability. When you start creating your own decals, you're going to find out that one of the things you have to do after you print them is you have to coat them with clear crystal clear coat. And so you can make that coat as thick or put as many coats of crystal clear over your decals as you want. So they won't be fragile. They won't be extremely fragile like some of the decals that I'm sure you're used to working with. So you can make them easier to work with. Durability, okay? Again, you're going to make them yourself, so your decals are only as good as you make them. So you have to choose what your level of durability is going to be for your decals. And appearance, when you do upscales, okay? A lot of upscales these days are done with vinyl, cut vinyl, and those are beautiful, and I've used cut vinyl too, and it's a lot of fun to work with. You don't have to use cut vinyl all the time, and I'll show you a few examples here later after we get done with the presentation that we're completely done with decals and not cut vinyl. Well, the disadvantages is the expense, okay? When I used to single source my decal media, the stuff was very expensive. It was around $1.50 a sheet. The new sources that I found on Amazon, quite a bit cheaper, around $1 a sheet. However, you still encounter what I call thick media, okay? The decal paper itself is thick, and so it requires some special attention when you run it through your printer. Excuse me for a moment. And we'll talk about printer settings in just a second. Okay. You're going to choose the graphic material, your media. Okay, vinyl, printable vinyl, especially suitable for large graphics and body wraps. Also for temporary graphics, because they're vinyl, you can put them on and you can peel them off. And some types of vinyl media are better suited to that place and peel and replace than others. Application issue with vinyl decals, they don't really stick very well to flat paint. So what you have to do when you're using a vinyl decal that is a peel and stick vinyl is you have to paint with glossy paint, okay? Or you have to put a gloss coat on your model before you attach the vinyl to it. Otherwise, you'll come back and you'll find that your vinyl has peeled away a few days later. Now with decal media, water slide decal media, smaller graphics, generally those you would consider for model rockets, you know, quarter A through F size rockets. Although you can do bigger graphics, and I'll show you those. I've got some right here for demonstration to you. White back paper, you want white back decal paper to do stars and bars or any reversed out white lettering that you may do. One particular rocket that comes to mind is when recreating the Estes Bluebird Zero rocket kit that was popular back in the late 70s. It has Bluebird Zero in white letters reversed out against a blue body. And well, I'll show you an example here of what we did. We took white decal paper, printed blue on it, reversed out the lettering, and then we applied that to the rocket, and it looks pretty good. Let's talk about printing the decal media for a moment. On an inkjet printer, what you want to do is you want to set it to the thickest paper possible. You know, try the envelope setting or try the brochure paper setting or what they call high quality matte photo paper, whatever is the thickest that you think your printer can handle, that is where to set it to handle decal paper. Don't necessarily set it to best quality, okay? Best quality on most inkjet printers these days is very fine, and you just don't need that fine of a quality to get what you're looking for from these decals. Usually one setting below best quality is really good for most decal paper, and that has been my experience. Yours may differ, and it will require some experimentation on your part depending on whose media you're using and what printer you're using. So it's a combination of all these things, folks, and I can't put it to you any better than that. You're going to have to do some testing. That's all there is to it. Okay. Let's talk about laser for a minute. Media thickness is a big deal. I have purchased laser decal media that will not work in my laser printer. So it's out there, and I have a Samsung laser printer. It comes in different thicknesses. If you can buy laser decal media and you have a choice between thick or thin, my first recommendation would be the thin stuff, because it's going to have a greater chance of working through your laser printer without any trouble. Now, I will caution you, if you get a piece of this decal paper stuck in your laser printer, it's probably going to require you to take the laser printer apart to some extent to get it out. Okay, and it also may do other damage to the fusion roller and things like that. But again, nothing ventured, nothing gained. You know, printers are pretty cheap these days, and if you're worried about ruining your laser printer, I would suggest that you don't do color decal media in your laser printer, but that you buy an inexpensive inkjet printer and use printer media for an inkjet to do your decals. With regard to white media is available in both decal and vinyl media. And as I said before about reversing out the lettering, you have to think backwards when you're using white media. So white media is especially useful if you're going to do stars and bars, U.S. Air Force type iconization for your model rockets. And again, when you want to reverse out the words like Bluebird Zero, as I spoke about previously. Okay, let's talk about creating the graphics. Personal experience. I use PowerPoint and GIMP to do just about everything. That doesn't mean they're the best. That just means that they work for me, and I don't find them overly complex. Easy to use, straightforward, readily available applications. Something you can do to help you with decals is you can scan the fin patterns and other patterns that you get in your pre-made rocket kits, and you can use like the shape of the fin, and you can take that shape, import it into PowerPoint, and then design a decal right on the shape of the fin. And that's what I mean when I say tracing the pattern, okay? And the internet is your oyster, and I will show you that. This particular page that I'm showing, page of decals that I show on this page, you know, you can go out there, you can grab just about any kind of logo that you can find, okay? And you're not selling them, so you can use them for personal use. You cannot misuse them, but you know, to embellish your model, I'm sure NASA or JPL isn't going to get too upset if all you're doing is embellishing the looks of your model. So fonts, okay, we'll talk about that for just a second. You know, there are a million websites out there that have fonts, and many of them can be had for free. And so sometimes you have to go searching for just the font that you want. But when you find it, you'll know, and your decals and your graphics will be much better for it. Get creative. As it says, fitting it all on one page, being cheap. Okay, yeah, you know, that's what you get when you look at a page of decals like that. You know, very little unused white space on that page of decals. And that did happen to be a white background decal because that way we could cut out the NASA meatball and the US flag and have them with reversed out lettering and actually red and white stripes. So that's what I mean when I say being cheap is using all of your media. Fill up that page, you know, make some use of it. Okay, and then I already gave away my tip a little earlier. Scan and save all your new kit decals before applying them. It may just help you if you mess up a decal. You'll have a copy of it, and you'll be able to make a new decal, and it will save you all the time that it would take to contact Estes or whoever made the kit and get another set of decals.
Hey, could I just interrupt for a second, Randy? Are you trying to show some a PowerPoint presentation or share of screen?
No, just everything that's on the screen, Todd.
Okay, they're not seeing anything. They're only seeing you at this point. So I'm thinking we might have a share screen issue. Sorry to interrupt you here. I just thought we would want to get that right. If you're under share screen.
Yeah, I forgot that step. I apologize to the attendees. Share screen over there on the left.
Yeah, you just want to use share screen and share screen. And I'll stay on with you till we get it.
Are you seeing the page?
I'm not seeing anything.
Okay, hang on.
There we go.
I got it.
All
My
right.
apologies to the group.
And I just want to let the group know that the sessions can go long and not interrupt other sessions. So, Randy, you can take the time that you need to cover your material.
Okay, I'll kind of just blast through these real quick for you. Okay. Opening page, my introduction, what we talked about, what the presentation is going to show you, a little bit about decal history overview, the tools and materials, the additional tools you're going to need, the general safety equipment, the trade-offs between commercial decals and home printed decals, choosing the right material, printing, and creating graphics. This is where I was when Todd so kindly interrupted me and told me that I had forgot to share the screen. So my apologies to the group. This is what I was trying to show you, and This is the graphic that I was telling you about. You know, fill up that page. It's your media, you're paying for it, so get your money's worth out of it. Even if you only need one decal out of this sheet for the rocket that you're working on, find the best way to fill up that sheet with something that you think you might need in the near future, and then do it. And then just, save the decals in your file. That will happen for a rainy day. Finishing your graphics. Okay, so you've printed your page now, and the first thing that has to happen is the ink has to dry. Okay, so let's give it a few hours to dry. Okay, 3 to 4 hours minimum. You can hasten this if you want to hit it with a blow dryer. You can probably cut it down to an hour if you want to hit it with a blow dryer initially. I just would rather have you err on the side of conservation when it comes to using your media and having it ready to be fixed. Fixing the ink, you can choose. You can use a clear spray. You can have it either gloss or matte. There are specialty fixatives available out there for decals. They're expensive. And my experience has shown me that I am just as far ahead using either Painter's Choice, Rust-Oleum brand clear or matte, or Krylon brand clear or matte. And you put a coat on it, put a good coat on it. Spray across the paper, both horizontally and vertically, to make sure that you've got that decal covered. You can see in this particular illustration that I used 2 pages to create the Buzzkilla decal for my level 2 qualification rocket. This was done on vinyl initially. I was so excited to fly the rocket that I took it out to the launch, and it began to rain that day, and a few drops of water got on the vinyl, and it ran some of the black. So I had to do some remediation, but then they didn't come off the rocket. I just had to spray the clear after I fixed up the decal on the rocket. So even if you're using vinyl, make sure that you spray it with a clear or a matte finish, because the inkjet ink will run if you get it wet. Well, let's talk about application of the decals, okay? You got to consider the size, okay? I mean, obviously, a decal this big is going to be a lot less difficult to apply than a decal this big, okay? What kind of media are you using? Vinyl or water slide? And what surface does the rocket have? Glossy is better, folks. It's just going to stick better, and it's going to slide around better for placement purposes. Trust me. Gloss it first, apply the decals, and then if it's supposed to be matte, hit it with a coat of matte. It'll still look great. Application. What size bowl or tray you need? Okay, larger is better. Obviously you don't need a half sheet cake pan to do a couple of 2-inch decals. A bowl of water, temperature, fairly lukewarm. Okay. Add 1 or 2 drops of dishwashing detergent. Just whatever you got sitting next to the sink in the kitchen. 1 or 2 drops of that in the water, the relatively warm water that you have, will make a huge difference in how your decals apply. If you're going to use vinyl, increase that to 4 drops, okay? Because you need a little extra soapy in there to make it a little more slippery for the vinyl. Okay, do not over wet your decal, okay? And those of you who have ever answered the phone in the middle of applying a decal know exactly what I mean. You put the decal in the water and you answer the phone, and 2 minutes later you go back to it and the decal is curled up, it's left the paper, and it leaves you with a very bad situation. So just pay attention, don't over wet your decal. Decals, when you put them in, they're flat, they tend to curl, and then when they start to relax their curl, they're probably ready, okay? Ensure that the decal and the surface are both wet enough, okay? Now, what do I mean by that? Okay, if you have a small bottle that has a spray applicator on it, and I'm not talking about anything big, very small bottle with a spray applicator, all you need to do is spritz a little bit of water again, and that water can be room temperature, should have like 1 or 2 drops of dishwashing soap in it. You're not looking for suds, you're looking for slippery, okay? And that's what this does. All right, so you wet the surface on the model, and you wet the surface, and the decal is wet, and this will help you slide the decal into place on the model. What about big decals? Okay, a couple of years back, the big deal in decals was the Red Max decal for the 4-inch diameter Estes Red Max, and everybody ruined a bunch of them. So, folks, what you do is you cut the decal into 2 pieces. And I know you're going, oh, it's heresy. You know, you never cut a decal unless you have to. Well, yeah, true. You don't want to if you don't have to, but sometimes just better to cut it in 2. You know, messing up half the decal is better than messing up a whole decal. And chances are, if you cut it into 2 pieces, you're going to have half as much to deal with when you go to apply that decal to the model itself. There are a lot of models out there right now that have large decal sheets. I can tell you that of a couple of the Estes models in the most recent catalog, I spent almost as much time putting decals on the models as I did building the models and finishing them with paint. So it takes time. Don't do it when you're rushed. You won't like the result. Okay, and for big decals, smear that water-based lubricant mixed with water that I talked about earlier. Smear that onto the rocket surface. Make sure that it's slippery, okay? It's got to be slippery, okay? And then gently, you slide the decal. You're going to slide that decal right from the paper. Just pretend that my model rocket is right here. You're going to slide that decal off the paper, and it's going to immediately contact the rocket. And then if it's a wraparound decal, I'm going to have to turn the rocket with one hand while I'm moving the decal. I know it sounds impossible. You're going to have to practice. You can make it work, okay? So it takes practice. That's all I can tell you. So you have to practice with it. Blot, don't rub, okay? Don't rub your decals. Blot them, okay? Blot with your paper towel or your Kleenex, okay? Blot them to press the water out from under them, okay? Any bubbles that you wind up with after you've blotted it should be pricked with a pin and then blotted again to remove the air from under the decal, okay? Last but not least, you need to give it time to dry on your rocket. Just don't Don't apply the decal and then take it to the basement and put a coat of clear on it right away. Got to let the water come out of them, okay? There's water on you've wet the paint, you've wet the decal, you may have wet the rocket in some respect. Give it a day or two to dry and then go put the finish coat on it. Okay, let me see here. I'm going to do this so that you guys can see more. Okay, here are some examples of decals that I have done. Large decals. These are all big rockets. FGHI power. Buzzkilla in the upper left. Again, that one was done with vinyl. You can see that the treatment turned out pretty nicely. The one in the middle top is an upscale of a Centauri Screaming Eagle. That is 2.6 inches in diameter, and it flies beautifully on an F-G motor. On the right-hand side is an upscale I did of an Aero. It's not Aerotech. It's Enertech. An Enertech Blue Thunder. Enertech was a venture that Lee Peaster started after Centauri, and it never quite got off the ground. And it later became the models and the technology from that venture later became the property of Gary Rosenfeld and are now visible for the most part in the Aerotech franchise. But Big Thunder was a model that, no secret, was supposed to be like Big Bertha. And that Big Thunder decal I took from a graphic that was in a catalog and blew it up and cleaned it up and then finally got it mounted on the rocket, and it looks great. Lower left corner, the Orbital Transport Laboratory number 7, Design of the Month from an Estes newsletter back in, I'm not sure if it was 71 or 72, but yeah, it goes back that far. But I'll give you a treat in a minute. I'll show you the one that was actually in the Design of the Month Club newsletter, because it was based on a BT60 that I upsized to that one in the picture, which is 5.5 inches in diameter. So, and then last but not least, good old 4-inch diameter Big Bertha, which I built a couple of years back. Mine is the Super Duper Big Bertha. Duper because it's 4 inches in diameter, and the Super Big Bertha was 2.6 inches in diameter. So, okay, one more, upper left-hand corner, a rocket that I built out of Quest parts, which was a lot of fun. Attitude X3, it's a 3-engine cluster. All the decals were homemade, and you can see it's pretty good looking model. Down here in the lower right-hand corner, you see that Bluebird Zero I was telling you about. There's the perfect example right there, printed, of let's put color over a white background. So you try and match the color of the paint that you're going to paint the forward part of the rocket. You try and match that blue to the blue that you're going to put in the background of the Bluebird Zero words. And when you get done, you lay that decal onto the blue, and the blue matches the blue, and you wind up with white letters on a blue background, which is really a lot of fun. Bluebird Zero is a great rocket. Let's take a look at this page. I'll start at the top again. There's the decal sheet for the OTL-7. I was able to get all the decals for that particular rocket on one page. Just shows you got to be creative. Got to use the space that's given to you. But you can do it, and you have a lot of fun with it. On the next page, as I said, I used to work at Centuri. That business holds a special place in my heart. I got it in my mind to build a model of a Mach 10 one day, and I didn't have any decals, but I knew exactly what they looked like. So I set about to create decals for a Mach 10. And you'll see some other things on there too. There's a decal for a Centuri Excalibur, also for a Centuri Centurion, and some fin decals for another Estes kit whose name I don't recall, but it only came with decals for fin for one side of the fins, and I wanted decals on both sides of my fins. So I created a second set of decals. And then also, everybody wants a few copies of the NASA worm logo. And it's always nice to have a few extra Estes logos laying around and a few NAR logos laying around too. Okay, second row. That's the decal sheet I used for my Argent model from Estes. Created it myself, took one whole sheet of paper. That one was printed on clear. Since we knew the distance between the bars on the wraparound decal, it was easy enough just to paint white behind those bars and then wrap the decal around on top of the white so that we got the same kind of graphic image that you see here. There's the Super Duper Big Bertha decal. That one was done on vinyl. And again, the rocket was painted glossy. The vinyl was applied to the rocket, and then another coat of gloss was put over the vinyl and the rocket. There's the Big Thunder decal, or the Big Thunder graphic that I was telling you about. I pulled it out of a photograph in a catalog and cleaned it up and put it on that nice big 4-inch diameter rocket. The Thunderbolt decal. Thunderbolt is a rocket that I designed. It's an F and G engine dual egg lofter that you can find in the archives of the newsletter for the Jackson Model Rocket Club. The design is in there, and you are more than welcome to avail yourself of it. It's a great rocket. I really enjoyed building it and designing it and had a lot of fun with it. Down the left-hand corner, 220 Swift. Who hasn't owned that little Swift rocket that you can lose on a quarter A and wanted to build an upscale of it? Well, I did. I built an upscale of a 220 Swift based on a BT-60. And so you can see that the fins on it were almost 7 inches long. But again, no need to do it on white background paper, just black decals, paint the rocket yellow, and then the yellow comes through the black and it looks great. Middle bottom, something to make a not so rockety rocket look very rockety. You want to take something and make it look like a NASA model or a NASA rocket. And this is just an example to show you what you can do with PowerPoint. You can make it look like the thing's got nozzles. You can put roll patterns on it. You can put ductwork on it. And that was a vinyl wraparound for a 3-inch diameter Estes Leviathan that turned out quite nicely. Folks, I've really enjoyed talking with you about this. I hope that I have imparted some valuable information to you. I hope that you can have as much fun with creating your own decals as I have. And if you have questions after the fact, after we get done with our little Q&A here, you are invited to address me at my email address at goldendog1@hotmail.com. So, hey gang, here I am again. Okay, so yeah, I've probably been up in the corner of the display as you've seen. Let's go to Q&A here. Okay, Brian Torok, thank you for reminding me that I didn't advance the slides. Sorry again, guys. I apologize about that. Let's see. Ed, and remediation tips. Oh, wait a minute. Things are moving here. Okay. On what to do if you find a piece of grit or hair under a decal after application. Ed, best I can suggest is that you take the sharpest, cleanest, newest X-Acto knife you have and do surgery. Make a very fine cut where you find the grit or hair. Your objective is to remove the object from under the skin of the decal and then lay the decal back down where it was. I'm going to suggest a little bit of warm water, and again with just a touch of dish soap, because that decal may be brittle after having dried out. You may, if you've coated the decal with clear or matte finish already, I'm not sure there's a lot you can do with pre-soaking the decal, but after you make the cut, you might be able to take a Q-tip and with the soapy water and get in there just enough to soften it up so that you could lay it down again. I hope that helps, Ed. Yeah, Buzz, McDermott, right on. Got to be glossy. It's really difficult to get a decal to have good adhesion to flat paint. In fact, I'll go so far as to say almost impossible, because flat paint generally has some microscopic tooth to it. It's almost impossible to get all the air bubbles out from behind the decal when it has a matte finish under it. Curtis, I see. Yes, nice smooth surface is important for the decal to stick. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, don't try and get that decal to stick to a paint job that cracked or curdled on you. It's not going to happen. Brian Ellenkamp asks, what's your best suggestion for water slide time and water? Now, you know, it depends on the size of the decal, Brian. If it's a big decal, it's going to take longer for it to soak than if it's a little tiny decal. Wetting every 30 seconds, yeah, you know, yeah, that's probably about right, you know. But I've seen tiny decals as well that, you know, they can be ready in 5 or 10 seconds. And that's why your tweezers become your best friend when you're trying to set tiny decals. And some of the decals on some of the rocket kits that are available today are very small and require very little time in the water bath. Set them aside on a towel. You know, I go right from the water bath to the model. I don't give them any set time, and I leave that setting time out of it. I go right from the water bath onto the model. But you say it works better for you. I would encourage you to continue. This is all about what works for you, okay? Yeah, Buzz, you can't print on trim monocoat and stuff like that. Yes. Very true. What you can do is in Amazon, as I was searching to find new sources for decal media, I found some vinyl sticky backed media that can go through your laser printer, or excuse me, through your inkjet printer. So get yourself some sticky backed vinyl and print what you want on your inkjet printer, and then attach that to the monocoat, and then attach the monocoat to the model. That works particularly well with chrome, and I'm gonna take just a moment here, and I'm gonna get a model here and hold it up to show you that. Okay, so this is that upscale Century Screaming Eagle I was telling you about, and you can see that the decals are printed on chrome. Okay, now this happened to be when I could get chrome decal media. I can't get that anymore, so like I said, I would now print the color onto a clear vinyl, place the clear vinyl onto monocoat chrome, and then attach the chrome with the decal, with the vinyl, to the model. Okay, and I'll just rotate this a little bit for you so that you can see what the model looks like. Okay. Now, since we're looking at models, and I've been trying to tell you guys how much fun you can have with this. This is a funny rocket. Okay, this is my school rocket. I had lots of fun putting this one together, and it's a great example of what you can do with decals. You just kind of let your mind wander a little bit. Okay, let's see here. There's your nose cone. You got parachute inside. My X-Acto knife slipped. I can't read or write because I can't even read it backwards. Anyways, okay, there's a fin. You guys will love this one. How far can a model rocket loft a hand grenade? Oops, sorry. And also, look at the tape. You see the tape holding the fin on? It's a decal. Oh, there's my friends. There's my dog. And you can see the crack on the fin there being held with tape. Again, all decal. So you can have some real fun with it. I told you that the internet was your oyster. Here you go. I am not good enough to draw a dragon like that. But because I'm not hurting anybody and I'm not trying to sell it, I went out on the internet and I grabbed that dragon and I printed it. It took 2 sheets of decal paper to print it, and put that on my rocket, which is called Dragon Train. So, yeah, I know it looks like a red max. That's because it was in its first life. Get back to some more questions here. Yeah, thanks, Buzz. Glad to know that John used for his printed skin sets. Yes, I'm aware of John's printed skin sets. They were really nice. Bob Caplow, yes, you can print on vinyl. We've been printing on vinyl, and as I said, the vinyl media is available on Amazon. You can run it through your printer. Do you scan a 300 or 600 for scanning? I'll be honest, Buzz. For scanning, I probably do 200. 300 is probably overkill, and all it really does is probably give you a bigger file, because you just don't need anything much higher than that. Now, of course, if you're dealing with scale modeling, again, different question, and so I would defer to someone like James Duffy to answer a question like that. Yes, I'll ask Todd to make available a set of the slide presentation. Thanks, Kevin. And again, my apologies for not sharing them with you online. Steve Launch Lab Navard, don't use best quality. No, not just to save ink. Yes, you answered your own question. The decals become too saturated with the higher quality. That's exactly what happens, Steve. The substrate on the media winds up with too much ink on it, and it will, if it doesn't smear on its way out of the printer, it will take an extraordinarily long time to dry, and may even look blotchy or blobby. So yeah, that's the answer. But again, every printer's different. I'm going to go so far as to say is, within manufacturing capabilities, almost every sheet of decal paper is different. It's going to depend on whether you have high humidity in your home or low humidity, what the temperature is, a lot of things to consider. Okay. Bob Culbertson, do I clear coat over inkjet printed vinyl decals? Yes, indeed. Tom Stump, thank you for the kudos on the Screaming Eagle. Reggie, suggestion for wrapping rockets, and what's the best wide format printer for the process? Ooh, you got me. I have great aspirations, Reggie, to own a printer which is well beyond my means at this point in time. If I ever do buy it, I will certainly have to solicit people like yourself in the Rocket community to help me finance it by doing business with me. Not that I'm looking for something for nothing, mind you. But there are some really, really nice large format printers out there that use ink, and they even have specialty inks, white and chrome and gold and different colors like that. But as I said, very expensive. Joe Calismo, application is less forgiving. In a pinch, I've had some luck using Avery adhesive back clear shipping labels with an overspray. Yeah, absolutely. It's an old trick from way back, Joe. Good use of what was available at the time. And you can just step up your game for 10 or 12 bucks by buying a package of decal paper from Amazon. I'm not here. I got nothing to gain by referring you to Amazon. It just happens to be convenient. Everybody knows where to find it, right? Yeah, 10 or 12 bucks for an application or for a package of paper at Amazon, and you can have fun with it. Tom Stump had trouble with filling color on large solid areas of my inkjet decal paper. Yeah, I've run into that on occasion, Thomas. I can't really pinpoint the problem, though. I'm afraid that I am not much use to you, Thomas Stump, with that particular problem. It might be your paper. It might be if you're using refilled cartridges and not original equipment manufacturer ink cartridges, that might be the problem. I have always been using OEM, HP, and Epson ink for the decals that I've made, and I can't tell you that I have never encountered your problem, because I have. And I think in the end, it was not It was not my ink. It was not my printer. It was the paper. And I think that sometimes the process on the manufacturing end gets out of whack, and it just it won't. The quality of the media didn't coat the paper for whatever reason, and so there's nothing on the paper to hold the ink in one place where it was sprayed. You're just like it's like throwing marbles on an ice rink. Okay, they're just going to go everywhere, so you can't control it. Vinyl decals, especially printing. Ken Matzner, yeah. Again, got to set the printer to the thickest possible media, and it's going to take some testing as far as where you set your printer as to whether you set it to best quality or just lower than best quality. Again, subjects for experimentation. Something you may find works great on your printer, ink and paper combination may completely be different from what works for my printer, ink, and media combination. Hey, Chris Michelson, when did I work at Century and what were my duties there? I worked at Century as a kid in my teens. It was in 1970 and 71. I worked in the R&D department as an assistant gopher and somebody to just generally make trouble for Grant Boyd and Larry Brown and Bob Del Principe. And Betty and Lee were kind enough to keep me in my home during my time, keep me in their home during my time working there. So it was a great time in my life, and I really enjoyed it. And I wish that it had continued, but the acquisition of Century by Damon Corporation ended the company as it was folded into Estes. So, Bob Taplow, do you have a vinyl cutter, and if so, which one? No, I don't. And the only one I'm aware of for personal use is a Cricut, but sounds like fun. Okay, let's see. That's it, folks. I'm out of time. Thanks, everyone. Good luck.